No government supported them. There were children who died from dehydration. There were women who died giving birth. Yes. So people were forced to stay at home. In their home can be under the bridge, but they don't have drinking water. People were digging when we saw how they were living, it's ridiculous. And now CSR has now become doing sports and art events for rich people, whilst we are becoming poorer as a nation, whilst we're having millions of people, millions of Nigerian citizens that are moving from place to place. During COVID, all the 10 states that we sampled, no government supported them.
Many thanks for joining in. This is Matters That Truly Matter. Well, one of those issues that you can't shy away from. Nigeria is a country with all kinds of people, right? Some would say some are rich, some would say some are poor. But one thing is certain, we're very mobile. But what if that mobility from one location to the other is such that it's forced, it is based on violence and many other factors? That's the conversation we're exploring today as we look at the issues around IDPs, urbanization, and settlements around some of those details. Details that really prefer and also put insight into the realities of the much talked about displacement, migration, and many other issues. I'm from DMLM, and there's an urgency to really look into this matter. Now, as you already know, this show is focused on amplifying conversations around shrinking space, food, many other elements that make up our society that truly matters in every right of it. And yes, the Abuja office of the Heinrich Böll Foundation works with activists and thinkers in civil society, business, and politics to stimulate public debate and action for a socially just and sustainable Nigeria. Yep. Now that we have that. Now, it is brought to you by Fine Radio Co. in partnership with HBS Abuja, produced by Vibe Brands. And for more content, you can follow us on at Fine Radio Co. and watch much of these type of videos on YouTube at the Volume Pod channel. Now, let's get into the conversation for today. We often hear about displacement in Nigeria. Yeah, camps here and there. Displacement many times. People say it's from the northeast. And there's crisis of funding. There's crisis of people. And there's crisis of people who think about what they will do with themselves going forward day by day. I have three excellent people joining me today as they've worked together on a report that provides such perspective. And I have a copy of that report. And I'm going to raise it up for you all to see. It looks like this exactly. Right. This report is not made of a lot of long, lengthy sentences. Very punchy, very straightforward, and very clear on some of the things they try as much as possible to enunciate. My guest today, Dr. Rebecca Enobong Roberts, is here with us. She's a researcher, Habitat Unit, Technical University of Berlin, and she is here with us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Rebecca Marcos is women leader, IDP community, based in Lagos, but, well, started off our journey from Borno, far from home, one would say. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
Yahi Bwata is the IDP leader as well, quite famous, quite known to the people, and also very communicative on the needs that is there as well. Thank you so much for coming on the program as well today.
Thank you very much.
All right. It's a sad reality that we have what I would describe as an invisible majority. One of the things that sometimes the landscape in Nigeria tries to do is to hide away from the reality of that we have people who are moving not because they want to move, but because there are realities on ground. So let me start off by asking, what would be the definition of an IDP? First of all, at the global standard level, and of course, I'll get to speak to Yahi and Rebecca on what that means, how they define that reality. Let's start with you, Rebecca.
I think the definition of who an IDP is very clear by international standards, which Nigeria is a part of. Lots of these kinds of instruments that clearly defines that a displaced person is someone that has been forced to move from their home by different circumstances, natural disaster, conflict, and violence. And in the Nigerian context, that's clear. A displaced person in the context that we're talking about are people that have been displaced from the north for various reasons, such as mentioned.
Yeah, and it brings me to, let me ask you about this. I know you're a man that needs to communicate to a lot of people. You've seen it over the years. We started having the issues of IDP for a long time. Sometimes it looks like they are not going to be displaced. Sometimes it looks like people are even displaced overnight. How would you explain that experience? Sometimes it happens so fast, sometimes it's progressive. How would you define that experience of how people become IDPs?
More especially for the settlement, I found myself precisely Chibok local government area of Borno State, southern Borno, and most of the displacement of my people, including myself, is due to the insurgents. If you remember what happened during the abduction of the Chibok girls, then some villages, many of the villages be deserted because of the insurgents, took over by the enemies. So that one is, serious displacement of people all around. That's why you see they are scattered different places in Nigeria to find their life, to go away from the disturbed area, violent area, for the livelihood. Thank you very much.
All right. Madam Rebecca, you just talked about the fact that people are displaced. We don't even know how many we are in full Nigeria. Now, it's even difficult to now know how many women, and you're a woman leader, how displacement affects women differently, especially in the way they are scattered, they are moving with their children and the likes of that. What's the experience of a woman IDP? Let me ask you from there.
You can speak in Hausa.
Oh, yes, feel free to do so. We would work on the interpretation, and the best of my Hausa would pick up, and of course, I'm sure Yahi would guide me through.
Due to our side in Chibok, what had happened that, as Yahi said, that issue of Boko Haram, shine yasa muka bari Borno, most especially Chibok, muka dawo Lagos. So abubuwan da muke fuskanta ta wajajenmu gaskiya yana nan is too much. So mun da muke nan a Lagos, we find ourselves for difficult places. So most of us, wasu ba su da kuɗin renti. So they used to go and find places like outside, go and doing Paco. Some of us, many of us, they stay at Paco side. So I don't know. Kowane irin mutanen da suna zuwa destroy wurare din sai na affect namu, and then gaskiya reality ba mu da wurin zama ta arewa. Even now, people that are farming at village, wuraren gonakinsu, even now our side, more especially like my village and other Chibok side. So yanda gonakinsu haka other Fulani, I don't know, in ka je yanzu a sare yake ba su da amfani kwata. So yanzu muna tunanin okay, mun da muke Lagos ma har yanzu ana destroy namu, okay, har yanzu mun je kauye ba mu da abincin da gaskiya za mu yi mu ci mu sha. So yanda muke samu kanmu yanzu, wasu ba su da kuɗin da za su rentin gida. And 2020 akwai wani wurin da ke kiran Aro. So muna can wasu mu suna wurin sai an zo an destroy wancan Aro din nan. Da zo an destroy sai wasu kuma sun sake koma ta babu waya alphabet side. Muna nan har yanzu ana zama. Last month an zo an destroy wancan wurare yanzu. Ni ban san ko daga ina ba. So da gaske suna fama. Yanzu haka abincin da wasu yaran mu suna ci. In ka je wancan wurin yanzu haka, wurin da aka kone Nils shine suna zuwa picking su sayar, sai su samu abin da za su ci da iyali. So yawancin su har yanzu sun samu kamar leda suna covering sai su zanna wurin. Daga sai ba su da wuri, wasu ba su da kuɗin renting.
So they can't pay for their rent?
Yes, they don't have. Bas da shi. Bas da shi kudin renting. So in ka je arewa, ka je Borno, as in Chibok, bas da wuri. A Lagos, bas da wuri. Gaskiya. So we are just like that.
And Madam Rebecca, you talked about the fact that food, rent, and suddenly you take off, you barely have enough. Some people are still back farming. But let me come to Yaya on some of the things you just mentioned. Now, these are the realities on ground. But nobody prepares you for becoming an IDP. Nobody prepares to become an IDP, but suddenly it happens. And she's talking about how moving from Borno all the way to Lagos, what it feels like to sleep under ladders and the likes of that. Share with us.
There was a time I even made mention when I was invited. I asked His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, in the person of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, that is Lagos State prepared for the young children from Northeast, more especially the Chibok people, Adamawa, some part of those areas. Many villages I know that they are displaced because of the insurgents. Are you prepared to accommodate them? I say, how? Okay. And really, some of them, when they come, no alternative than those that are opportune to gather up some money. Maybe 20, 30, 40 people gather money to 2,000, up to 5,000, buy a motorcycle, give little children to be riding. And you can see one bike will be feeding like 50, 100 people.
One bike?
One bike, yes, because, yes. Most of those riders, they are school dropout. If they try to go to village, you'll either be kidnapped or killed. And when they kidnap by the Boko Haram, they must join them or they kill them. So, and when they come, there's no means of, feedings, accommodation, clothing, social life, all those things. And Bacha, when they find themselves, if some go some of them have like security job under all this, one-man business, or when they're employed, they now find way to accommodate some of them by force. Because you see your brother suffering, nowhere to put head. And sometime during rainy season, you must have way to cover them, even if the Oga know or not, with his permission or not. You must sneak him and feed him. Because you can't be watching your brother dying of hunger or dying of where to sleep. But yet, when they give that Okada some time, in the process of writing, in the file of Lagos State, in their law, there's no Okada. Okada is banned.
Yes, it is.
That's why...
At least in the major part of the city.
Most of the local governments. So myself, as I live in Etiosa local government, I had made mention to His Excellency, the Governor. He said, but in Lagos State, there's no Okada. So, but those people, most of those children, they don't have house in the village. And if you stop them doing Okada, and sometimes the police people chase them and collect their bike, and you leave them stranded. And when you collect one bike, you discover that you staff not less than 50 or 100 people.
From collecting
one bike. Now, and you don't have job to give them. Nigeria don't have job to give them.
But in some instances, they often say, come and collect your bike back. And do they go back?
Where? There was a time they collected, like, the bike men, they were having meeting. And I don't know how the message reached the police force. They came and arrested all the bike, packed all the bike away. They called me. I have to intervene. Then the bike were not less than 200 bikes took away. I was invited at the United Nations office. And I asked the boys, the riders, to write down their names, their phone numbers, so that the government may see something to do from that United Nations office. When I reached out to the riders, they are young children of villagers. Because of fear, they said, we cannot do. Because when we do, they may arrest us. With fear, nobody cooperated with me to write their names and their numbers. Although I used to advise them that they should not play the highways. They should do within the streets. areas,
outskirts,
the highways, to just find where little money to eat. And unfortunately, that havoc happened. So it's something painful, and of which is over my power to act.
And somebody like us, truth.
So we don't have somebody to stand.
Yes, some people don't know us. Most especially this Rebecca, she really tried for us. That's since 2020. She brought a carton of egg, like is it 100 or 60, for 8,000 people, and we share everybody, every woman's. We reach from around barbed wire, Ode, general paint, all we share that eggs. True. And everybody, every woman, every husband appreciate it. Yeah. From then, she came, and even though we are making call that, yes, please, let me find women that do not have work to do. Let she help them. And I collect their account number. She still transfer money to them. Through Rebecca, she really try for us. We that we are in Borno, we are not seeing help from other people, but she really help us. Even people from village, So I was telling her that, look at this woman, she's because of condition, she not have anything to do. That one is not from Borno, she's living at Maiduguri. Why? Because our side is not this thing. She send money onto that woman, and she's have healing.
I don't understand. I mean, this is a lot of kudos to you from what she's saying, that you're not just walking the talk to ask questions about the realities around IDPs. You're also helping them to elevate their lives, which brings me forward to the question of sometimes researchers that we know, they just want to use IDPs. And I mean, when I do mean the word use, is to say, these are the issues, extract the information, possibly raise funds for that same reason, but those funds do not go or they are not channeled down or systematically gotten across to some of those IDPs. I was looking at much of the research that you do have going on. Some of the pathways that people do travel through, from Kano to Jos to Sokoto, Kaduna, Abuja, eventually to Lagos. You find Jola, Mubi, Makodi, Abuja, Lagos. Damaturu, Meduguri, Calabar, Lagos. Bauchi, Abuja, Lokoja, Lagos. These are some of the pathways that do people. Now, I was also reading part of this report, and I was wondering, why didn't they settle? I mean, this is an average of more than 3 points before getting to Lagos, right?
That's an average. Yeah.
Yes, that's an average.
Yes.
One would question, why didn't they settle somewhere else? And a part of the report also says that sometimes some of these other places can be aggressive towards IDPs. What's your perception when you've spoken to IDPs, you've spoken to some of these state governments as regards the level of being open or providing an enabling environment for settlement?
I think before I answer your question, I would just like to address what Rebecca said. Actually, the eggs I brought to your communities from Fantana Eggs, they donated it to your community during COVID, and Vitaphone, many other agencies. And for me, I know this is really outside of the conversation, but it also makes me wonder what CSR has become in Nigeria. Because when I was younger, or when I was working in Nigeria, a lot of companies, banks used to do these things. But now what CSR has become is doing sports, sponsoring sports that cater to the rich people. Because we have this idea, I'm coming to a point, we have this idea as a nation of very poor people. Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. We have a lot of problems, but somehow we have transitioned from CSR being about helping our lower society, members of our society, to doing sports for rich people. An example, I saw last week that there's something happening in Lagos, and they brought Didier Drogba, and it's sponsored by a bank. Banks used to build toilets in communities. And so that, basically,
priorities have changed over the years.
And it's as if the poorer we are, the more problems we have as a nation, the more people are timing. I'm not saying those things are not important, but it's not reflective of our reality. There's no reason why those kind of things. I'm not saying rich people things or middle class people, they should not be CSR. Banks should not be sponsoring that. When you have IDPs all over the cities in Nigeria, banks can build toilets for them. Banks can give them water. During COVID, all the 10 states that we sampled, no government supported them. There were children who died from dehydration. There were women who died giving birth.
Yes.
So people were forced to stay at home. In their home can be under the bridge, but they don't have drinking water. People were digging when we saw how they were living, it's ridiculous. And now CSR has now become doing sports and art events for rich people, whilst we are becoming poorer as a nation, whilst we're having millions of people, millions of Nigerian citizens that are moving from place to place. Now, the trajectory, I know yesterday we got a bit of resistance at the projects about Lagos. It's not about Lagos, but Lagos was the only place. Research costs money. Lagos was the only place, thanks to Heinrich Böll, that were able to do an in-depth analysis. And just to go back to the beginning of how this research started in 2018, we were looking at why evictions was happening in Lagos and comparing it to new slums that are emerging in Lagos to look at who lives in those slums. Because before 2018, even me, I didn't know IDPs were in cities. I thought they were in camps. So we're looking, and then we saw that all the new settlements that were emerging in Lagos were, built by IDPs and refugees. So Nigeria has a lot of refugees from other countries in Africa living in this country. But because the international law protects the refugees, they are usually more advantaged than the IDPs. But the new slums were set up by the IDPs. And I was really shocked. So I went back and I told Professor Lawanson at Unilag, who's now at University of Liverpool, and she was the first person that, we're all shocked. Like, wow, they're coming to the cities. And it's not just about Lagos, but Lagos is the only place that we found HBS to agree to give us money to do. Research costs money, and the way that we do research, we are not extracting from them. We work with them as our partners. It means that if I am getting transport money to come to field, they get transport money. Okay. It means HBS is paying for my data. HBS is paying for their data. It means HBS is paying my transport to go. Because we want to have, these are already vulnerable people. So we cannot treat them as resources to go and extract knowledge, which is what usually happens. And I feel like even if the international NGOs and everybody else does that, as a Nigerian, it's my national responsibility to ensure that where I have the capacity and power, that my people are treated fairly. So I think that's something that, and if you are doing research, if you reach out to me and you say you want to work with IDPs, the first thing I ask you, go and do a budget for how much you pay them and bring it to me. Sure. If I don't see it, I'm not giving you access to them because you are going to slave them. Before we started the conversation, I was telling you about how I was in London and I saw a picture on his WhatsApp and I messaged him. I don't want to mention the agency or the person. And I said, oh, you know that because he took a picture of the person. What are they doing? So they are doing this thing in Lagos. Did they pay you? No. For 2 days. But this is a vulnerable person. And he's a useful resource as to whatever you're doing. So how about you create a budget and pay him? He's already vulnerable. He's already abandoned by our government. Don't use him without paying him. And you said something about, doesn't that affect the quality of data that you're able to get? So we know that, and all our research, all our colleagues that are our IDPs and their local host communities, because it's also important to work with them so that you don't create conflicts among them. We work with, the IDPs were 60% of our enumerators were our IDPs, 40% were the local community. So all the cities we went to, thanks to all the universities that helped us and the ministries that helped us, we go somewhere and we say we choose the communities that we're working in, then we choose enumerators from outside those communities because it affects the quality of data. But working with the IDPs or in any subject, working with the local urban poor, it gives credibility to your data.
Definitely.
When we started designing our questionnaire, the first thing we did, Unilag had a training for them. I have lots of pictures. Even during COVID, we're having training at Unilag. Unilag paid them a stipend. Every day they will come, they will sign, they will collect their money. Because you cannot take them all day and so that she will not sell her market. You want her to come and do training in Unilag. Unilag paid them every day and paid their transport, gave them money for internet. Everything, we treat them like they're human because they are human beings. But all the cities that we looked at during COVID, there was no assistance to them. We called everybody. I don't know if you were at the presentation yesterday. I called the Ministry of Refugee and Migrants, and they told me that they have an office in the 36 states in Nigeria. I started calling those states because it was such a terrible condition that they had to live in. Like children, they were sending me pictures of it. Children died. People died of hydration. That was when I called my friend Infantana Eggs, and they sent eggs and Indomie and things. They didn't have anything. And that leaves the burden to individual. The church and the mosque, they try, but it's still not an organized effort. And that's what we're trying to bring together to look at. How can we fill a need that treats our citizens as people that have rights?
Yeah, and it's one that one really wonders about, because I know during COVID everything was all over the place and people couldn't even put together what strategy is what. It was sudden on everybody, so nobody even had the best of responses. But at the same time, this was some of those agencies were designed to have response to emergency situations and the people that it affects. But culturally, and should I say culturally and by landscape, we still see a level of aggression. And let me come to you on this. You were giving a story on Okada, and I'll allow you to provide a technical response to this. We're talking about Okada riders. And I know even in some parts, I've lived in maybe 5-6 cities in Nigeria. I know, for example, in Lagos, when we see young Okada riders, right, at the time, and you start to see a change of face, or they can't speak pidgin, or can't barely communicate because they're not sure of that particular terrain. There's this labeling that goes around on IDPs to say, this one is an escaped terrorist, right? Things like that, to say he didn't jump Boko Haram, but doesn't mean that he doesn't know about Boko Haram, that there's danger. And in some instances, you see some lynching happen, right, where they attack some of those IDPs because somebody looked at somebody and said, this person looks like they're there to terrorize. Tell me about aggression a little bit that comes towards IDPs from societies that don't understand where you're coming from society that perceives that you're there to run them over and take over some of the resources that they do have. Because these are realities on ground.
Yes, precisely, lost people, most of us that come from that area, even of now, if you say you come from, if little argument or anything that happened, Boko Haram, they address you as Boko Haram.
Labeling, yeah?
Yeah, but, and I mentioned before that those Okada riders, most of them are school dropout because nowhere to go school. You go to school, they kidnap you,
yeah,
or they kill you. When they see, the most vulnerable places, the age, the youth, the teenagers mostly. Like for instance, there was a guy in church. We were in New Life for All group playing drum. The guy said he will go back to school. He will go back to pastoring school. When he left Lagos to pay me under the local government, he was killed by Boko Haram. It was on Christmas Day. They killed him. So, and if such person come, with all that dirty, when Boko Haram burned your settlement, no good clothes to put on, and you look dirty. Nowhere when they see you, they will address you as you are a criminal. You understand? You are from North, you are a criminal. You are Boko Haram, and vice versa. And it's not that way. As I said, Okada riding is not job. It's not designed to be Okada riders, but it is means of quick money getting. When you get money quick, without the Okada, apart from the Okada, you cannot get quick money to solve your problem of feeding problem, or to help the aged parents in the house if there are, because most of the parents are dead. Even those time, the parents don't know where their children are, and the children don't know where their parents were. It's all that recently when things getting better, little. But yet, most of the villages, even as of now, most of villages is being taken over by Boko Haram. No less than 10, 20 villages. Even at Adamawa State, like the other side of Goza, Madagali, most of Madagali area, where most of the young children and male, Boko Haram, mostly they killed boys. They don't kill girls. If you hear girls die through Boko Haram riding, maybe miss bullet, unwillingly. But mostly they kill boys, they leave girls. The only thing they will do to women, they can kidnap them.
Yes.
To take them away.
Take them away.
To marry them by force or do whatever they want to do with them. But they cannot kill women. They kill boys. So the boys, they will run away. Okay, look at the Chibok incident now. Those Chibok abducted girls, I think they were not only girls are writing the exams, but the girls live in the hostels. The boys go back to their father's houses or guardians. Then go back in the morning time for the exams. That's why you cannot hear they mention the boys, only Chibok girls. But the girls are there with the boys too. So that's why you see that most of the male children, they run away. And Lagos is accommodative. I have to thank Lagos state government. To even, if not because of Lagos state government, bring back our girls will not come to stay. But the free atmosphere, the good people of Lagos state, I have to thank them. I have to commend them for the good accommodative they gave us. That's why you see most of the people run to Lagos.
Yes.
And Lagos is easier to find all these, if to be employed as security, to be employed as, all those little work to be doing, do Okada. But as I said earlier, Okada is quick money, than the other jobs.
Yeah,
Sorry, yes. And based on, I want to touch where Rebecca, my mentor, said about COVID-19. Rebecca, you remember when I was with 5 little children from 7 to 2 years. 5 of them were with me. When I bought chin of 500 naira, I shared among us, and I did tea. Lipton tea, I shared among us. All of them, they are not, some of them are not from Chibok. I think all of them are not from Chibok. They were from other states. But because they said that, they were feeling hungry, they came to me, uncle. I said, okay, come in. I shared among them the chin. I shared among them, I gave them tea. You saw it. You said something for me. I went out and bought bread. I bought bread for them. That's it.
Another thing that is very sad about like he says, I mean, we worked in 10 states, right? We have other good examples, but as Nigerians, we have to be honest to ourselves. Lagos bears the burden of this whole entire country. So when people talk about, it's just about Lagos, I see it like they're just jealous because you don't know the amount. Lagos is a sign of hope, not just for Nigeria, but for the whole of Africa. Lagos is a place somebody in a village in Uganda aspires to be. That's the fact. So when we talk about Lagos, and it also shows why people will be interested in Lagos. Lagos is difficult, yes, like everywhere else in Nigeria, but is where a poor, like I was saying in my presentation yesterday, beggars, because we looked at scales of livelihood, and the first scale is begging on the street. A beggar told me in our interview in Obalende that he makes more money. He's a beggar because he's disabled, but that he earns more money than an IDP who's working in Abuja by begging in Lagos. So Lagos is that very important context of our society that when people say it's all about Lagos, yes, it's about Lagos. Even in the whole of Africa, it's about Lagos. So let's be realistic so that we can also see. But I was going to say that there are other good examples. Onitsha was also a very good city for IDPs. Actually, in my opinion, Onitsha was better than Lagos because Onitsha is not aggressive to the IDPs. And Lagos is not that Lagos is intentionally aggressive to just IDPs. Lagos is just difficult.
It's an aggressive
landmass.
city.
No, it's not aggressive.
And there's a lot of pressure on the socioeconomic resources.
But also it's the smallest landmass that exists as a state in our country. So when we talk about Lagos, we should also consider that this is a small space that over 23 million people, and every day thousands are coming that never leave. Let's be realistic so that we can also see how the government is seeing, because I believe Lagos is for everybody. I don't care about what everybody says about this.
Even
Yes.
this history about Lagos, like if they want to come that for our local it also come that they want to share like something. We women that from Borno, we are going there. We can't get anything. But something come us from Rebecca. You will see our women, they will gather more than 1,000 people, they will come. And through they will receive their gifts.
But you know what she said about COVID. I also want to touch on that. It goes back to the lack of data on IDPs in cities. When we contacted Lagos state government, in Lagos, we had to, in all over, in Port Harcourt, it was the same. IDPs are a lot. In
Really?
Port Harcourt. Yes. They are in the millions. I think after Lagos, the highest again is Port Harcourt. Onitsha was very unique in that the IDPs who go to Onitsha are almost people, in my opinion, that have a skill, and it's farming. They are farmers or they are moving food from the north. So, for example, me, I'm from Akwa Ibom. Once you cross the River Niger, tomato used to be very expensive. It's no longer that because of the influx of IDPs who are now connecting that network that we didn't have before. So there's a level of need that they are feeling. So in Onitsha, Anambra State is a very friendly state. Yes, Onitsha is a hustle city, but the state sees the IDPs as fulfilling a need that the state have, which is water. There's no water in Anambra State, like most places in it. But in Anambra, it's particularly bad. And this is the job that the Malams do. So if you go to Onitsha, the IDPs are loved. So
I think for context sake, because I know that sometimes they call them Merua. So that we don't say man, because that's more religious. That's more a religious connotation. Yes.
Yeah, so they are loved because they feel a need in the society. And also it's something I'm also trying to understand as a researcher. Anambra State has a structure that I didn't see anywhere else in terms of local governance structure. So we talked to the Obi of Onitsha. He also explained to us, like, yes, I'm the Obi of Onitsha, but I'm not authoritarian. So there's a structure of when the IDPs come, their leader goes to the Obi of Onitsha, they pick where they want to live, they send them to the local leaders in that side, I don't remember what they are called. They have meetings, they have bylaws of settlements. That sometimes is in writing, people that cannot sign with thumbprint. We've seen these things happen. And the IDPs who go there, almost, Onitsha is Anambra State has its own culture. So that's something else that affects social cohesion, is that we are very unique and multicultural as a society. But the IDPs who go to the East are almost willing to integrate. They've come most of the time, they want to farm, they want to become commercial people, or they want to come and they are making money there and they're paying taxes. So the city is happy about that. But they are also feeling a need that the city didn't have before. They had very difficulties with water, reaching some villages. The commissioner was explaining to us how it was a mess. And now they have IDPs that are picking plastic. So the commissioner was telling us it's keeping our city clean.
Yeah.
And they try to process
recycle.
Yes. So Onitsha is particularly unique. It's something I want to understand more. But from the very little that I know, I see that it's because it's a two-way process. The city, they feel a need that the city needs, but they also come willing to integrate. They want to become like, you see IDP in Onitsha market, they're speaking Igbo. They have integrated it because it's
settlements in all faces.
It's easier for them. Whereas what we see in other cities, also a little bit why Port Harcourt was a bit like Lagos, a bit aggressive to the IDPs. I don't know if it's just the context of being an IDP or is the the context of social cohesion and where people are competing for resources. It happens everywhere. It's not unique to Nigeria. It's happening in Europe. People are saying all these migrants are coming because there's a limited resources. And so people start othering. You are from the north, you are from here, you are from here. But there's something very uniquely different about what is happening on Onitsha. It's something I'm interested in knowing more of. So again, just to go back to your conversation, you asked me, I don't know if I answered that, who is a migrant and who is an IDP, is something that it's a very blurry line. I heard the guy from the ministry yesterday define this, and I slightly disagree with him. I don't know if you can call people that are coming from the north to other places economic migrants. I disagree with that because I feel like that's still disregarding the reality of how our country is evolving. We have conflicts that has persisted since 2001.
Forced migration, yeah.
Yes. And so people are moving. We have our research. This is an abridged report. When the full report comes out, you will see we have different kinds of displacement. We had somebody who moved when he was not first displaced, but became displaced where he moved to. He's an economic migrant, or I don't know, you can call him that.
I think there are quite a number of parameters that kind of intersect different reasons. Some people would tell you that they move because they feel the competition here is too high. Maybe if they move from one Ekpe to another part of Lagos, for example, and all of that, it becomes a factor. I want to talk to woman leader about another part of the subject that is also quite sensitive when it comes to women in itself. We see situations where there's insinuations about, you talked about your community, Chibok, for example, and how the girl child, all of that, the kidnapping and some of those other attributes. But we also see some level of labeling when they say, people who are from the north are quite productive in terms of the number of childbearing, how childbearing goes on and the likes of that. But it brings forward the question about health care for women, children in IDP situations. You talked about how, even, for example, they want to share things in Lagos. The Lagos people are like this, then the IDPs are not sure they will get from there. I can imagine what that is like for health resourcing in that space as well. Hospitals, clinics, and the likes of that.
But if you do not have something to take, as in, your child is not feeling fine. If you do not have money to go to the hospital, unless you have we have something family care for our side. But if you do not have enough money to go and pay for your child for the care, they can't attend to you.
And just to add to what she's saying about gender vulnerability, like we have seen in our research, women, and I would say women because women bear the brunt of taking care of everybody else. Elderly people, old people, disabled people. And also just to add, Nigerian cities, that we have all the cities, there's a lot of children without parents. The orphan crisis from this incident is outrageous. And I was telling there's one commissioner in Lagos, I don't want to call his name, but he's been very helpful and he even engaged, he really supported us. He didn't know the scale of what we're talking about. So we had arranged to go to some places in Lagos or Balende, Lekki at 1 a.m. Because I told him, I said, if you want to see them, that's when you will see them. Because, when the city is full, you don't see them. That's why I think, in a way, you people are aggressive against IDPs because you don't want them on your street. But in other cities, they are all over the street. And you see them at night. So if you understand if you come to places in Port Harcourt and in Lagos at night, you will see homeless children all over the street. They sleep on the pavement, on the main road, they put carton, whatever. That's how they sleep.
Yes.
So it's that understanding that level of, what Yaya was talking about during COVID, those were orphan children that live on the streets. And so Nigeria, we have a crisis that we are not looking at because those are our future terrorists, whether we like it or not. Because you cannot have a child whose parent was killed in Adamawa State And this child, also how they travel, if you know how, that's why I'm saying that this report does not tell you anything. Those movement trajectories, people see Lagos, but it's not just Lagos.
It gives me insight. It doesn't tell me all.
Yeah, they go to, and if the travel is not, I have money, I go to bus park. No, there's a truck going somewhere outside. I don't know where this truck is going. Some movements even throw to Cameroon. They go just around. Sometimes they move to, there's a paper I'm writing on this. Sometimes their movement circle is looking for their lost family members. There was a lady who asked me yesterday how we know that in Lagos alone there are over 3 million. I said, because we have register. They keep register. Yes. So it's not that we can collate this data. We have seen it. We have pictures of the register. We counted it by ourselves. Yes. So we are not telling you stories. The IDPs in Lagos have shown us proof that as at 2023, they were over 3 million. That means now they are more. Yeah. So we are not telling stories that cannot be proven. But the majority of those people are women and their children. So there's a lot of vulnerability around women. And there's a lot, because women are any intervention should start with support. Because when one woman has a job, like that's why we have a gender balance. That's why Yaya, if I call Yaya, I say, Yaya, we need 20 enumerators. I want 15 women. Yaya understands that if 15 women are earning $200 or whatever, they will eat for 5 months.
Yes.
He knows that. That's how we work. But we have to look at these issues in subsections. There's a lot of children. That's why in Abuja, people are aggressive so that you don't have to show proof that there are poor people in your city, but we're a country of poor people. And in other, so that you also understand how Lagos state government feels, how Port Harcourt, because they cannot take care of them.
They cannot.
They don't have the resources to take care of them. And during COVID, yesterday, one of the ministers said that they are the responsibility of the city. It's just that we didn't have time. I wanted to ask about how can a state take care of people that they don't have a budget for? And across the states that we went to, at some point, all the states, there were state government that were angry with us and just said, get out of my office, like you're saying rubbish. Already as a state, I'm contributing to the Northeast Fund as a state. Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
All 36 states are contributing every month to Northeast Funds. And then they said to us, so if we have paid for them, where do you want us to get money to pay for them here? Let's be realistic about these conversations. And in terms of, sorry to...
No, it's fine. Like I did say, let it all out. I mean, that's
a lot of points. Another thing is the issue of the majority of IDPs. Already the North was burdened with low school enrollment.
True.
But the bulk of everybody that has been displaced, if you find a 29-year-old boy in Onitsha that is an IDP, the chances is he was displaced maybe 12 years ago. He has never been to school again. And now you have children born in displacement. You have children whose parents, they were killed somewhere, and somebody carried them on the truck. They climbed truck. When Tomato was going to Benin, they climbed the truck and they were sleeping on the truck. When they got to Benin, the person told them, "Yeah, get out of my truck." They threw them out. They started roaming, begging. That's how they used to travel. So they are not moving willingly. They are just, I'm here in Maiduguri. I'm so hungry. There's a truck I can see. Yaya has called me in 2019 that there was a truck arriving and I went there to take it. I have that picture.
Yes.
They don't go to park and buy ticket and travel. No. They don't even know that they are going to Lagos.
They don't know where.
They just know that they cannot live on the streets in Adamawa again. They will climb the truck. The truck driver will say, if you want to stay there, you can stay there for 2 days. They will climb the truck. And usually also what this means is a lot of young girls are raped and impregnated. So when you're asking Rebecca about healthcare in Lagos, for example, where she is, if IDPs do not have NIN, it means they cannot have Lagos State registration. It means they cannot go to school. It means they cannot register PHC. It means that if a woman, for example, is making 800 naira a day to feed her children, and a child is sick, and somebody tells her you can boil that herb or you can do this and that, she will do it, because why should she go and pay private hospital when she does not even have money to feed her children? And it also means when we had the framework development in Lagos, again, thanks to HBS, all a resounding theme that was emerging from representatives from 62 communities was that their children are not going to school. Well, and it worries them because there's also an element of the research that we have found that this not going to school, Boko Haram is recruiting boys and girls are moving, illegal migration. So there is a problem. And if I were international communities, instead of pouring money in the Northeast, which, by the way, people are leaving the Northeast because it's insecure. So it doesn't make sense to say you're only funding projects. Who is there? The people who are in the camps that our survey shows us are old people that have nowhere else to go. And even those old people, if you put them on the truck to go to Onitsha, they will go to Onitsha. So why are you putting money there when we are creating it? Because they were young boys that I've personally interviewed that have told me that we had a youth engagement in Lekki, and we were asking who knows somebody that has migrated illegally. That means they have gone to Tunisia to go and enter Europe. All of them knew. This focus group was young people of all the communities, 62 communities. Everybody rose up their hand. And when we were asking, because they started telling us, people were like, even he has a program where he works with young boys to encourage them not to join Boko Haram. Boko Haram is recruiting them.
Yes.
Even in Lagos. So he has a program that his way of encouraging them not to join is, he used to call me, if you have any project, if Unilag has access to them, if Unilag is doing any work, please call them. If they can earn 2,000, maybe they will not join Boko Haram, because they've gotten to the point where now Boko Haram offers incentive. One boy said to me, why shouldn't I join Boko Haram? If I've joined, he told me that he was displaced when he was 9 years old. He has been moving around. He's now 26. And life is, he's one of the people they took his Okada. So I cannot tell you who he is. But he told me that life is so difficult for him that every time he starts something, the government will destroy his efforts. He's back to sleeping on plastic on the street. Because if you take away his life, he can't pay his rent in his shanty where he stays. So now he sleeps on the street. He now told me, he said to me, why shouldn't I join Boko Haram? I know people that have joined Boko Haram. If I was displaced when I was 9 years old, I'm now 26. I've been moving around. When will my life be stable? Anytime I think I've gained some kind of stability, I have my shanty, I'm living, they will take away my bike. My landlord will kick me out. And they pay their rent, sometimes weekly, monthly, however they can pay. Yes. But if they cannot earn money. So Nigeria has, as a nation, we have very critical questions to ask ourselves. That we are talking about insecurity. You cannot overcome insecurity without solving this problem, because children that were displaced by Boko Haram are still going to pick up arms against us because we have abandoned them.
Sad
and that what she said remind me one thing, as I mentioned some areas at Kirikiri area that I use. I used to do my findings. I was at Kirikiri area for 5 months. I come across one small boy. We were playing with the boy, and Hausa boy. Why little children are you? How old are you? The boy said he's 7 years. I said, as small as you are, you have small structure. Are you sure you are up to 7? Say, yes. Okay, we are speaking in Hausa language. Because he couldn't speak English as he didn't attend school. Okay, why are you not attending school? Say, my papa. My father was a soldier and he was killed by Boko Haram. My mom remarried another man. And my mommy don't have money to sponsor my education, nobody to put me in school. So the boy always, roaming about. I bought biscuit, I gave him biscuit. I bought pure water, I gave him pure water. I said, but if you see somebody that can help you to school, he said, yes. I want to go to school like these children that, this my colleague, like children like they are like my age mate, going to school with their bag. I see them, I feel to be like them. I was, crying, bleeding inside. Till today, the boy is there. I used to see him.
Living on the street.
Living on the street too.
By himself at 7 years old.
So you see, there are many like that. And as Rebecca rightly said, why the most vulnerable are women and children is that, as I earlier said, that the insurgents, if they kill men, you understand, they kill men. And when they kill one man, let's assume like my father. Now my father was killed by insurgent, and my father married six wives. My father born 36 children. Okay, look at now. if that is the reason why I couldn't further my education, because I was very brilliant when we were at the secondary school.
You are still
You're
brilliant.
still
But
brilliant.
no, the reason was that's the fact, because during our days, most of our teachers were from the Western world. The fact that my English mistress was from Philippines, and when I was in junior level, my English master was from Ghana. Now, and my seatmate was one of my teacher's daughter from India. And, I must be brilliant then. But guess what? After my secondary school leaving, my father was assassinated, was killed on the road going to market by the insurgents then. So all the dream stopped. I was the first person to travel back to Lagos to look for what to eat. Because if I look at my siblings, who's supposed to their education? Is it our mom, my mom that has 9 children? Where can she start from? So that's how you see most of the northerners, the women now are most vulnerable and children. Because I was child, I was a victim. And when I see those little children roaming the street, I feel the pain because I was once like them. So that is it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'll take your intervention and your intervention as the recommendation to round up. But so I'll listen to Madam Rebecca. What do you think should happen next? What do you think needs to change? And how do you think it can change? No, it doesn't have to be supernova idea. It's just because sometimes, yes, because sometimes what the very intellectual organizations do is they recommend things that don't work. You were talking about, I think I remember this, and let me give you an insight into something you mentioned yesterday. She mentioned about how somebody who is doing tailoring, they suddenly do you training, give you money to go and to become some complete profession that has nothing to do with what you do, and they said they have done you well. But those were some of the thoughts I think you mentioned yesterday.
Yeah. Sorry, I think she's freezing a bit.
Yes. But just go ahead.
You can say it in Hausa.
Come on, one guy king training, Hamburg, the tailoring. Memo ko abaki keke dinki. Sai ka dauke wheelbarrow. Abaki. To wheelbarrow kuma sai ki sayar ba.
Aha.
Ba ki sa abin da suke da wheelbarrow ba. Abi.
No, what's up about them ba taimako. There's no helpers. If it is help that is, like, for example, we women that we are living there, some people that are selling like food or, let me say, sobo and kunu, even though you are using your head to sell it, those oboro, they used to collect money for you.
Agbero.
She understand? Yes. Even though 1,000 every day must give them. When you are trying to sell, they feed their children. She understand? So that truth, if that help can come, that yes, like those KK that yes, we are women that are living there, we don't have something to do. We're supposed to do that like machine. If we have machine, we can show to get money. But now there's nothing that we are doing. For like that already that are born everywhere, there is nothing to eat. There nothing there now. So they are just there like that.
So basically, I think what she's trying to say is that if you want to help us, ask us what we need. Don't go and bring your own.
Yes.
And say now, okay, I've trained you, I've given you 2,000. Now I've helped you. You have to, and that's where like what Philip was talking about yesterday is very important. If we want to have an effective, durable solution in Nigeria to this problem, we have to have a people in a place approach. It means that what works in Adamawa, in Lekki, might not work in Badagry. Or what's working on Onitsha might not work in Lagos. Or what's working in Port Harcourt. You have to look at them in the context of where they are.
Yes.
How does the city affect them? How do they affect the city? And what skills did they come to the city with? And what can they do? Which is why Philip said something about that livelihood transition. We have to understand that because some of them have a skill that can benefit us, like farming. Many of them are solving food problems where they are. Even if they are selling in the local community, they are making food cheaper because now many things that we used to look for in the north, people are farming it where they are. So look at what do they have. Don't go and create your own program and come and say you're empowering them. That's not them. Don't go and give them bicycle or what do you call it, wheelbarrow to go and carry load.
Okay,
Why can't you do
we have to leave it at that because you're pressed for time. I'm really, really passionate about this conversation. Thank you so much for providing this much insight into this. We'll do our best to keep track of this as much as we can. This is a kind of conversation that even outside of much of the work that HBS is doing that we should have, and to be able to convey the realities that we as Nigerians all do face. I must thank Dr. Rebecca Enobong Roberts, PhD, researcher, Habitat Unit, Technical University of Berlin. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And yes, Madam Rebecca Marcos, women leader, IDP community in Lagos. Yes, thank you so much also for sharing with us. Yahi Bwata, IDP leader, thank you as well for coming on this very conversation. I know you have a lot to say. I can see.
Really
okay, let me allow you to say it. Say it.
What I want to ask again, like all these young boys, more especially young children, boys or girls, in terms of what can our government do for our young children? When they're eager to join the security forces, the challenge is if you don't have money, you have ambition. Let's assume you have ambition to join army or police. If you don't have up to 500,000, you can't join it.
Sadly.
Yeah. If you don't have money.
Sadly.
Yes.
Sadly,
so how can government do? Okay, if you leave them, you don't give them work, employment. You don't allow them to join the security force if you don't have 500,000, 300,000, 1 million naira. So how can government do that?
It's a sad reality, but sometimes corruption systemized is one of the challenges we do face. I have to say, well, I'm sure this report will be available on the HBS website soon enough.
It is available.
Yes. Oh, it is available. So you may want to go on there, HBS Nigeria. The website is there. We'll also put up the screen link for you to see how you can download it. It's called Cities in Transition, Displacement, Urbanization, and Urgency of Inclusive Policy Reform in Nigeria. And yes, this extensive work has been done by quite a number of researchers. Unfortunately, we can't even bring everybody on, but I did meet Professor Philip yesterday. Was it Philip?
Yeah. Professor Tybert.
Yes, Professor Tybert. Yes, wonderful people, by the way. They really are itching on. Maybe when we do the X Spaces conversation, we would bring them on and we would go on for as much as we can on that very conversation. But just to let you also know that we are grateful to the Abuja office of the Heinrich Böll Foundation. They do work with activists and thinkers in civil society, business, and politics to stimulate public debates like this and action for a socially just and sustainable Nigeria. And we've really led with this conversation around this. It's brought to you by Fire Radio Co. in partnership with HBS Abuja, produced by Vibing Brands. For more content, follow us on at Fire Radio Co. and on YouTube at The Volume Pod to get the best of this kind of conversation. Well, that's it for now for today. But as you go on in your own role, I think the call to action for anybody who's watching is, it doesn't have to even be complicated. Just be less aggressive. That's something we can do to each other as humans as we build up our world and our country and our neighborhood. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Femi D. Amele.